I invite you to join me in celebrating the Christian identity of Hope College. Now, I recognize that there are many other aspects of the college that are worthy of celebration. Our academic excellence, our outstanding faculty, our wonderful students, our dedicated staff, our superior collaborative research programs, a beautiful, well-tended campus, intercollegiate athletics, and many other fine extracurricular opportunities. And while recognizing these notable strengths, I believe that our religious identity actually provides the foundation for our institutional character. And if there's a single adjective that I would use to describe our Christian identity, I would use the term aspirational. Now, there are a lot of other adjectives that could be used: welcoming, hospitable, invitational, inclusive, but I like aspirational. Now, when you arrived today, you received a short statement regarding our Christian identity, which was recently affirmed by the Board of Trustees. And a number of you already have seen an earlier version of this statement, including the Dean's Council, the Administrative Council, other direct reports from them, various other teams across the campus. The board asked for your comments and suggestions, and some of these were taken into account in the final or the last draft that you have before you. And I'm sure that discussions around this identity statement will continue as we move forward. Now, before delving into the statement, I have to take a few steps back into the history of the college. I'm an unrepentant historian, and I'm driven to distilling the past to better understand the present, to move into the future more effectively. Now, my point here basically is that Hope College has always been an aspirational Christian college. It is part of our institutional DNA. Now, like nearly all liberal arts colleges, especially in the Midwest, Hope was birthed as a tiny denominational liberal arts college. Tiny, I have to underscore. It was intended to serve the second wave of Dutch Reformed immigrants who came to Michigan during the middle of the and later part of the 19th century and moved into Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, Iowa, and so forth. The first wave of Dutch immigrants, of course, occurred in the 17th century, and the settlements in New Jersey and New York were where they settled. Now, when Hope Academy nurtured or matured into Hope College in 1862 to 66, it was under the leadership of Holland's colony founder, A.C. Van Raalte. You've probably heard his name again and again. And President Philip Phelps, who was a Reformed church pastor from New York, and he helped to shape this curriculum that we began with. He really was instrumental in making this a college, a liberal arts college. So without the aid of the Eastern Reformed Church, the old church from the 17th century, Hope College would not have survived. Eastern money and Eastern personnel essentially made it possible for this nascent college to get off the ground. But despite considerable denominational support, Hope College remained rather small and unheralded as an institution until World War II. The college struggled during this early time with modest enrollments, mostly students of the Dutch Reformed, Presbyterian, and other Protestant churches in the Midwest. Most of the professors had the same basic profiles. The Christian identity of the college was definitely there. It was taken for granted. It was part of who we were. And the mission of the college seemed to be, if you look at the kind of people we produced as students, seemed to be pastors, missionaries, teachers, and leaders for local communities. Now, during the 70s and 80s, 1970s and 60s, a time of cultural and religious change in the United States, the student enrollment diversified, as did the makeup of the faculty. You can see it just looking at the people who were hired and the students who came. It was a time in which Hope moved from being a denominational college to becoming a Christian college with a Reformed heritage. Now, during the 1980s, while Gordon Van Wylen was president, he was asked by the chair of the Board of Trustees to write a one-sentence mission statement for the college. Now, he took this task seriously, and within a few months, President Van Wylen drafted the mission statement, which, though revised, remains the foundation for the mission statement that we use today. Let me just read that mission statement as it evolved in the 80s. The mission of Hope College is to offer with recognized excellence academic programs in the liberal arts in the setting of the undergraduate and an undergraduate residential co-educational college in the context of the Christian faith. Now later, with respect to the Christian identity of the college, the word historic was employed to qualify the nature of the Christian faith in the context of the historic Christian faith. Dr. Van Wylen indicated then that he preferred to employ the qualifying term historic because it suggested identification with the historic affirmations of the church, which are rooted in the Bible and summarized in the Apostles' Creed. He believed that emphasis should be on the ancient ecumenical tenets of the faith. Quoting him again, "We are not denominational in our emphasis, nor sectarian or parochial in our approach, but rather we identify with the church as it's developed through the centuries." Hope was a Christian college, which embraced a community of Christians who sought to fulfill the educational mission while taking seriously their individual and corporate responsibilities as Christian. Another quote from Dr. Van Wylen, "Such a community can welcome all persons, including seekers and those on their way to faith who wish to be part of the mission." The vision of Gordon Van Wylen was that Hope College be an aspirational college united by and anchored in the historic Christian faith. That phrase, in the context of the historic Christian faith, became the focal point for discussions about the nature of the religious character of Hope College, Hope's identity. Now, in a culture which has become increasingly indifferent and even hostile to Christianity, and there are lots of reasons for that I could mention, but that's another day and another lecture, I guess. And when Christians tend to understand less and less about the history of the faith, it is understandable that the term historic would beg some clarification. Aware that the Hope community would benefit from some clarity regarding the meaning of the historic Christian faith, in 2015, President John Knapp asked the board's Christian Faith and Formation Committee to produce a statement which grounded Hope's Christian identity and defined the phrase historic Christian faith. Following more than 2 years of editing and revisions, last May the board approved the statement which you have been given as you came into the auditorium. I believe that it underscores the character of this college, which I've come to cherish and support so much, and I want my grandchildren to attend such a college. I believe that this statement represents Hope College at its best. Now, we've examined the historic development of these statements. Let's look more closely at the short document which was affirmed by the board. While no statement can adequately capture the soul of any institution, I find this identity statement to be compelling. Why? Because it describes our Christian identity in aspirational terms. Hope aspires to be faithful. Notice the paragraphs. Hope aspires to be welcoming. Hope aspires to be transformational. When we say we aspire to be faithful and welcoming and transformational, we are confessing a certain level of humility and honesty. We confess that we hold to ideals which we have not fully lived into. We are not there yet. We are in process. And in doing so, we're all actually living out one of the aspirations of the Reformed tradition, which was, or is, that being reformed and ever reforming according to the Word of God. That's one of the characteristics of a Reformed theological understanding. We're reformed and ever reforming according to the Word of God. Moreover, a declaration of aspiration is a declaration of hope. As a community of Hope College, we look forward together to where we are going together. This statement articulates that spirit of aspiration that characterizes the very name our college bears. First paragraph, Hope aspires to be faithful. Notice that the aspiration to be faithful is anchored in a commitment to the Christian faith, which was expressed in the ecumenical creeds of the church, of the early church, the ancient church. The Nicene and Apostles' creeds, in particular, are cited. These creeds were developed during the early centuries of the Christian church to counter those who were questioning the orthodoxy, the apostolic orthodoxy of doctrines around the deity of Christ, the incarnation, the resurrection, and the Trinity. These creeds focus on the nature and person of Jesus Christ. They are ecumenical creeds because they were and continue to be embraced by a very broad array of Christians across the world: Eastern Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and later Protestants. These are the creeds through which the basic unifying Christian beliefs were affirmed. Hope College does not draw its essential identity from narrow and sectarian streams, but from the wide river of universal Christian confessions. Universal Christian confessions. While Reformed theological perspectives have been held in high esteem at Hope College, and in some respects still are, we acknowledge that we belong to a united body of Christians, a global body of Christians, a united body of Christians. Second paragraph. Hope aspires to be welcoming. As a college which anchors its Christian identity in the ecumenical creeds and the universal church, it follows that Hope should be a school that invites people of various races, ethnicities, nationalities, and theological traditions to join our community of faith and learning. Today, the Hope College community includes a very remarkably wide range of Christian communions. And like a grand symphony orchestra, each tradition is a different instrument, which brings a beautiful ecumenical sound of Christian beliefs and practices to our institution. We have the liturgical beauty of the Episcopalians and the Orthodox, the sacramental taste of the Roman Catholics who have a special place on campus, the spiritual passion of Pentecostal, the evangelistic impulses of the Baptist, and the proclivity of the word proclaimed from Lutherans and Reformed and Presbyterian folks. And there are so many other traditions which add resonance to our symphonic music as an institution. It is also important to note from our inception, Hope College has embraced a global understanding of its mission, welcoming students from all parts of the world. Philip Phelps, the founding president, invited Japanese students to enroll at Hope College very early, beginning a long tradition of a Japanese and Hope College connection. And for years, we've maintained a close relationship or a partnership with Meiji Gakuin University, and you've probably seen the Meiji Gakuin students on campus already. We are engaged in a wide array of programs in international education, which include Africa and Asia and Central and South America, as well as Europe. As the world is growing smaller and smaller because of technological advances and social interactions, and, of course, international politics and economics as they change, it's essential that we have a global reach. We need to increase that global reach. We fail our students when we fail to prepare them for global understanding. Moreover, in a time in Christian history when we are experiencing a global shift with the church exploding in Asia and Africa and South America while declining in Europe and in North America, we should be even more compelled to prepare our students for faithful global leadership and service with a particular appreciation for God's gift of diversity. We strive to be an hospitable college, welcoming all students to join our vibrant community, where the pursuit of knowledge and faith intersects. Now, all are invited to examine and experience the love and good news that we find in the gospel. Third paragraph, Hope aspires to be transformational. Established in the Reformed tradition, Hope College has affirmed both the centrality of Scripture and the importance of learning. Quoting from that statement that you have, we are thereto committed to freedom of inquiry in the pursuit of truth and knowledge in every field of study, confident that all truth is God's truth. All truth is God's truth. This is a liberating conviction, which has allowed Hope College to develop outstanding natural science programs in which research is fostered and encouraged, in which students across the board are exposed to various intellectual challenges. Yet despite this zest for research and for learning, our Christian connection also leads us to understand that knowledge is also a means to discern the will of God, to discern what is good and acceptable and perfect, for the purpose of transforming ourselves and the world around us. So, we've quickly examined the three paragraphs the aspirational paragraphs. Let me make just a few additional comments about the statement. First, it's positive and not prescriptive. It reflects the DNA of Hope College in that it is not a statement meant to exclude or divide, but to promote grounding for our aspirations. It's not a litmus test. As one member of our community has written, it is like a flashlight in the dark, a way to see forward to where we are going together. It's a declaration of hope. It's meant to be our servant and not our master. It's positive in another way. It helps us to define ourselves for what we are for and not what we're against. I don't know about you, but I'm often asked to identify the character of Hope College, and I sometimes respond by saying, well, we're not really like Wheaton College, and we're not even like Calvin College. We are not like Oberlin College. We're not like Kalamazoo College. We define ourselves over against others. I would like to respond more positively. Maybe you do that same thing. I don't know. But I'd like to have a positive perspective. We are rooted in the historic Christian faith. We raise tough questions. We have difficult conversations. We are open and hospitable. We do not claim to have easy answers to the tough questions. We will not be defined by a particular political or social stance, but by our commitment to the essential truths of the gospel as framed in the ecumenical creeds. Second, this statement will not eliminate tensions which have marked discussions around our identity. Or I should better say that it will not eliminate discussions, and it shouldn't. One of the things I've noticed during my 40 years in connection to Hope College is that there has always been an ongoing discussion, sometimes debate, about what it means to be a Christian college. In fact, I find it healthy, and I find it helpful for faculty, staff, and students and alumni to consider this question of what it means to be a Christian college for Hope. When such a discussion tends to dwindle away, and it has not yet, I fear that no one will really care about the issue, and we have become static and indifferent. No, I expect this statement will continue to raise discussions, and I think that's important. But the way in which we discuss or debate these issues is important as well. I remind you of the 5 virtues of civil discourse, which I spoke about last year, thanks to Jim Herrick's helping me understand how these originated. Humility, hospitality, patience, courage, and honesty. These virtues assist us to have fruitful and meaningful discussions, and I've been thrilled to see them used or at least touted in various organizations across the campus. Third, the statement helps to shape our values and stirs us to live them out. Ultimately, the measure of our faithfulness is our willingness to put faith into action. Remember that our faith statement aspires to be transformational, and I'll just get a couple sentences from it again. Hope College is a college affirms the dignity of all persons and the respect that they are bearers of God's image and the respect they deserve. The whole Hope community is encouraged in the lifelong pursuit of justice and peace for all in a world so loved by God. Wow. These are remarkable aspirations, ones that so easily elude us. But let's not flinch from that challenge. It has enormous implications for the mission of the college and for our students. And for us, it means that we must continue to commit ourselves to being an institution devoted to inclusive excellence, that we fight against racism and ethnocentrism, that we continue our efforts to reduce discrimination based upon gender or sexual identity. It also means that we encourage students to give themselves as servants to others on campus and once they graduate, that we inspire students to choose careers which match their gifts and employ these gifts in service to individuals and institutions which are struggling economically or emotionally or academically or spiritually. It means that we inspire our students to follow Jesus in radical discipleship and to buckle down for the long haul in working to make theirs a better world for successive generations, that they will be working toward a more just and peaceful and environmentally sustainable world as all humans are image bearers of God. So, my friends, as we celebrate the beginning of another academic year, we will certainly face significant challenges and anxieties. We are in the midst of a search for a new president. There are issues related to personnel. There are annual challenges that we have of finance and fundraising and recruiting and retention. And you are aware of particular challenges that you face in your divisions or in your departments. Despite all of this, despite all the challenges, I am confident about the future of Hope College. I am confident because we are rooted in, grounded in a Christian identity in the good news of Jesus Christ and in a God of grace, abundant, overflowing grace. Thank you, my friends. Spera in Deo.